All right, good news, guys. John from Salt Lake is about to give you permission to start talking about Zelda again.
Good.
Finally.
We're going to get to follow up with some topics you guys were bringing up earlier. John says, I finally picked up a copy of Zelda. I have to say, the hype was correct. Every time I play, I get sucked into playing more and more. I have a few questions. Number one, when do you think we will start seeing Zelda's influence on other open world games? I don't think I will be able to play an open world again and be limited by walls and 2-foot fences. Yeah, so you were talking about Red Dead 2 this year will be sort of a litmus test for other open world games. But I also think, like, I know Ubisoft is going to have another Assassin's Creed probably at E3 this year. Are the developers, are they in the studio being like, all right, guys, you got to program the ability to climb anything, like fast, go, as fast,
I think
as
there's
you
one other important thing that Zelda does that those games are not doing, and that's that it doesn't give you everything on the map. And even Horizon did this. You go to a tower, and it shows you everywhere to go.
Yeah.
And this game does the exact opposite. It never tells you where to go. And that's so important. It makes it so much more fun for us to all come in here and have different experiences and say, I found this last night. No way. Like, if everything is just a dot on
There's
the
a
in-game
training
map,
ground over there, and there's 5
Justin,
little mini
like,
games
yeah,
for you to
or
do.
even for missions, the waypoint. Like,
Yeah.
I'm over that.
They're like vague
I'm
enough.
so tired of that. Like, make it an interesting world that I want to explore, and I'll explore it.
Your tweets are like some of my favorite Zelda tweets because like you keep describing it as just like these little micro adventures basically, and that's what the game feels like. Like even the most simple discoveries that you would have in another game, like finding whatever a new town or a stable or something that's essentially not that important, feels like monumental, and you feel like you're like, I'm planting my flag and I'm the first one who's ever found this, even though you're obviously not. But it feels so like coming, like you were saying, coming over a mountain and looking down and realizing there's a shrine or realizing there's something you didn't know about is so cool.
That's what, there's so many little, like that. So you climb up to a tower, and in a lesser game, or not a lesser game, but in another game, a less inspired game, climbing that tower would put, points of interest all over your map. And what Zelda does, it's not that different, but it's a subtle difference where you have line of sight to 4 or 5 or 6 interesting things you can see, and then you put the points on the map yourself. Like every single tower, and I'm so positive it's deliberate, you can see at least one shrine.
Yep.
Every high point.
Yeah.
That's how well that game
And
works.
sometimes only at night, like only when the orange shows.
So they design that line
brilliant.
of sight. So when you're up here, like I can see an enemy camp over there. I can see a shrine here. I can see, a neat thing behind me. And then I was putting stamps on my map constantly. So you're building your own Zelda map as you go.
Yep,
Even
and
the
that's
map
why
starts tipping you off too, like just water. If there's water in the middle of like a hilly area and there's nothing
or
else,
an
go
island
check it
in
out.
water. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Zelda so weird because I still have barely done any story stuff at all. I filled in the entire map. I found every single tower before I did a single story thing in that game. And it felt so much more rewarding because now as I am slowly filling things in, I can always teleport to the general area where I want to be.
Shrines being a fast travel is such a underrated reward.
And the paraglider,
that's a
just
big
the
reward.
paraglider in general, the ability to start high and go low and have to plot out the stamina you have and think about how you're going to get there and to find a shrine in the map and be like, okay, which is the closest to where I'm trying to go and where can I paraglide, which is at a high point. Like, it's just so smart. I would actually love, like, please tweet at me if you don't like Zelda because I've yet, like, seriously, like,
I think
he said like the hype was
We're getting
worth it.
comments on GameScoop's YouTube channel about it a little bit.
It's really interesting because I want to meet
I was in a
someone.
conversation about it.
I want to meet someone who doesn't feel like the hype was worth it because I'm genuinely interested in the negatives to this game.
I mean, I've heard it's my game of the year. It's probably my second favorite game of this generation after The Witness. And but the complaints, I've heard complaints from people to say it feels like a very lonely, lonesome game. They miss, like, Fee was sort of terrible and too much, but like some sort of just not having the game feel so lonely.
Get the Wolf Link amiibo.
Yeah, get the Wolf
Well, and
Link.
that was like The Witness and No Man's Sky had a lot of people saying that too, and even Firewatch, where like you feel like you're isolated.
Yeah.
there's someone in the office.
Yeah, that is interesting.
There's someone in the office that doesn't like Zelda. I'll tell you. I won't
let's
reveal
get
them
'em.
here. I'll tell
Can
you
we do
afterwards.
20 questions about the person in the office that doesn't like Zelda?
Anyway, to John's question, when all these innovations in Breath of the Wild, when do we start seeing them pop up in other games? I know it takes a while
It
to
takes
make a
so
video
long.
game.
Yeah, I feel like the first time you're going to see something, like everyone always is like, oh, like Battlefield 1 ripped off blah, blah, when it really didn't because development can't work that quickly.
Or,
I
yeah.
feel like the amount of time it will take for people to actually rip something off is probably 2 years.
I'm not
that's how long-
totally convinced we're going to see it either.
Yeah.
Like Zelda very much feels like a brave, unique thing of its own. Like I can't imagine that Assassin's Creed after the one that's presumably coming this fall will just completely throw the design in the bathwater.
Well, because it breaks like what they did for Zelda
Yeah.
could never happen in an annualized franchise because you couldn't. Those invisible walls exist because they have to limit themselves because otherwise the game would be in development forever, like Zelda was. And like I think that's why Zelda took so long. It's because of the polish. It's because of filling in, making it so you can go anywhere.
It's not the same as like being like, oh, Z targeting. That's a great way to do combat in 3D. Like it's a very hard thing for someone to ape and mimic. I'm not sure we're gonna see too much of it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
It's stuff like the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor. I expected everyone to steal,
no one stole
and
it.
I've been waiting, and now Shadow of War is the next game to do it. Like, and it's so sometimes I think things are harder to implement than we
Do
realize.
you guys think? Are you a baddie in Shadow of War?
Yeah, you're
Making
going to
an
be a
orc
bad guy.
army, and then you're forging a ring of power.
Maybe don't judge an orc by its cover. Maybe they're nice. Maybe they're good.
All orcs universally are evil.
Yeah,
Wow.
Every single one of them.
yeah, they're bred to be evil.
They could have a change of heart.
I guarantee you, they're gonna
don't
have
think they
some
have a
good
heart.
orc. There's gonna be some good orc quest.
There will be a good orc, and it's like the super mutant. What's his name? Fox in Fallout 3. He was a good boy,
Oh yeah, that's true.
even though all his friends were mean.